Hi everyone, my name is Asha, as introduced, from Tanzania, a country from East Africa, for those who don't know where it is. And I'm here today just to share a little bit of how we engage community specific to our projects. As an organization, we base on data collection, analysis, visualization, some innovation, as well as capacity building. And also in doing all this, we put community at the center of everything that we do. Yesterday, I shared a little bit of a pilot that we did on how community could be part of anticipation action in order to reduce the impact of disaster, especially flooding, which happens in my city, called Salaam in Tanzania. So today I want to share a little bit of how we actually engage those community in our daily practice in data collection and everything that we do in the country, especially using the open source technology. So first of all, we had to ask ourselves, why do we need to engage these local communities? Because as the government have been doing some activities around the country and collect data, do some analysis and make decisions. But we find out that some local knowledge has been left out and not be involved directly, like to hear the perspectives and what is actually happening to the community, especially when it comes to disaster response. So there was a recently impact that was landslide that happened into the country, and no one knew what would happen and when, but it seems like local people knew of what was going on the mountains. But when the landslide hit, it's when the government realized that sometimes we have to listen to what locals knows. So to some disaster preparedness, people might delay into technology mostly in order to take actions, also in technology, but to some locations, it starts with knowledge of what locals knows. So in everything that we do at my organization, which is OpenMap Development Tanzania, we have our slogan, say, local people, local advice, and open knowledge. So in every data that we collect or visualize, it must have a community sound into it, so that to make sure we are targeting the right people, and also make sure the message is delivered, and also it's a voice of who needs help exactly. So that's why we always encourage, or we always put the value of community first. As you can see, this is an old man who was helping us to locate the hotspots of waste collection points in his area, as well as safe routes in his area. At his age, he still knows, because he was there before even the flooding was happening to their community, till now, where there's so much flood in the community. So he has so much knowledge that we usually value when it comes to mapping activity that we do. So apart from using technology, we also use this community technology. So as I said earlier, this is us. It's a non-profit organization that was introduced back in 2017, and we came from a huge organization called Humanitarian OpenStreetMap Team, when they introduced a flood mapping project in Tanzania back in 2015. I was a student back then, but I was able to join the team in 2017 when I graduated. And this is our core pillars of what we work on in the country and beyond, especially in East Africa, for the activity that we do in the country. So all this is some of the pillars that we stand for when doing our activities. And these are the focus areas. And as I said, as OpenMap, we are one of the huge contributors to the OpenStreetMap platform because it's also the platform that we use, and some of the institutions that we have been worked with, some workshops that we have conducted in order to make sure we spread the knowledge of open source and community engagement in the country for the last 6 years now. So come to it, the problem. There are so many disasters that happens in my country, but today I would like to talk on how we engage community, especially on the flood issue in the country. So the picture itself says, like, community were not aware of what was happening. It just the flood hit them without expecting that this could be the effects. But doing this, as I said, we have been doing data collection for almost 5 years, 6 years. So we came to realize that flooding in my city was caused by informal settlements. So for those who might know Tanzania, we are a developing country, and some of the areas, especially the city, are informal. So being informal, it means it's characterized by disconnected drains, infrastructures are not well organized, and also like communities are not aware. Also, most of communities who are affected are located along the valley, and also like these are the communities who are low-income earners. So and also why they are settled in those locations, because the valley is also near the city center where they could usually go for their daily activities. So the problem is the informal settlement itself. Dar es Salaam is 70% of the city is informal, so it actually gives you, and it tells you what will happen if there is a long-term rain. So for example, this was a rain that rained like 30 minutes in the country, and this is what happened. Like, people had to move from their homes to safe locations. So, but there was a gap of which routes to take. Also, the first responders, where are the people need helps located? Because by that, people are relying on phone calls, like, okay, so we are here, can you guys come and give us help? But sometimes there's shutdown of network because of the flooding. So, and we have an emergency responding team in the city, but they had a very difficult time understanding where are the flood-prone locations are. Most people in need, they were like knowing, okay, so we have this area, the people are affected, and this area people are affected, but the accessibility to those locations, and if it floods, where do this community goes to make sure they're safe, and also how do we reach them to provide help? So they're only relying on local leaders' calls in order to provide help. They didn't have enough data on hand that they can provide. That's why we say that during this flood-prone area mapping, we'll image, or we want to provide that data gap so that the emergency responders, local government themselves, and also local leaders could have access to data that they can use in order to make sure they either pre-informed the communities or the disaster responders in order to make sure they either minimize or reduce the impact of flooding to the community. So doing that, what we do usually is we do community mapping. That's the approach. So we train community in a specific area that is affected to collect data of their own community, of how the area is affected, and also the extent of the issue, the location of those affected communities, also safe locations, safe routes that they can pass when there's floodings, and other related data that related to the issue that we are mapping currently in the state and in the location, because there are different data that we have been collecting for some times now, and the project was funded by the World Bank. So after we do data collections, what we usually do is validate, because data collection, we do it in two forms. We do it in workshops, and also we do it on site. to collect data. And after that, we usually go again and validate through maps that we have created or generated, validate the maps with the local leaders. So this is what we have collected, and this is what was on our meeting, and this is what we have collected in form of maps. So everything that we collect, we usually do not create reports for the local leaders, but we create visualized maps that they can see directly where the issue is and how to respond through the maps. And also, after validating, we do something called share back. So we do train them and give them back the maps that we have created for them so that they can start taking action, but also advise them on where exactly or who in the government could they take this data in order to get help from the government side, so that to reduce the impact. As an organization, we don't have, we were not into practical solving the challenge, but creating data that will bridge the gap of data so that people can have evidence-based information to get help. And most important, to do all this, we use open source tools. And apart from open source tools, the tools that we use, especially in data collection, we can put it in our local language, which is Swahili, so that the local people can understand what they collecting. So the ODK we use, we put the questions in Swahili so that they can understand. And also, the people who use the ODK form are the people who lives exactly into the location. So all we provide is knowledge of how to use the form. So we create form prior, and then we verify the questions with the local leaders, and then we recruit the youth, elderly, and also in data collection, we do not look at age. We usually look at those who are interested and can learn how to use smartphones. And funny enough, sometimes we do not even provide smartphones. We use what they own in order to show them, like, you can use a smartphone beyond communication, but also you can use it for impact on your own community. So that's how, like, so this reduce the cost of data collections and also ensure the quality of data that we collect. And also we usually upload the data that we collect to OSM so that others could access them. And also we use some app like OSM for direction and all this. So we impact all this knowledge to the local community. Apart from collecting data, we also create some capacity building for them to have access to this data, because it gives them opportunity to use them beyond our project that we provide or work with in the community. And for analysis, we usually use QGIS to make sure to create the maps. So this is an example of some community data that was collected by community, showing cases of how the affected people in their area. So like the green dot shows that these people are not affected by flooding, but the red dot shows that the people who are affected by flooding. So it shows some patterns of location that people are affected, but also you might see that there are some red dots within the green dots. Those could be because of the blockage of drains or disconnected of drainage system that is around the community. That's why those people are also affected, but the majority are the people who are living near the river. So this was because of this project, because of this data. It was a project that relates to the introduction of the river innovation along this river. It's called Msimbazi River by the World Bank and the government. It's because of the data that we collected, community insight, and how the extent of the flooding is. It's whereby there was later on in a negotiation that the river should be innovated, and also some of the communities who are severely impacted should be reallocated to other locations. So these are some of the data that was collected to the community. So they tried to show their voices through data on how they're affected and what extent. So these are the dots on which each dot says that it shows the house that was collected, and also the flood history into this data. It also shows the extent and water level of each house when it floods. So doing some more analysis, it provides those kind of information. So there's a lot of data we collected, but to show just one question, which is yes and no, of people whether affected by flooding or not. But this is the voice of community using open source technology to map their voice using maps for decision makers to take action. So as I said, we have first responders in the city who include ambulance, firefighters, and other emergency responders such as Red Cross. So in order to make sure that the voice of the community that we collect from the community are heard and taken action to, we provide the data to this high-level stage and also provide them with the capacity training on how to use the data that we have collected. So we produce data in form of atlas, but also recently we have changed it into web maps so that first responders, such as they're called DAMAT, Dar es Salaam Emergency System, Response Team, they can have it in form of dashboard so that they can do analysis and also provide service on time. And also we're doing a pilot with them right now on how they can take action early using the data that's coming in every day from the community. So there's a pilot that is going on, and I had an honor to present it yesterday. But also we provide data in form of atlas that they can use, and also like communities, they also get action to have access to this data of their own location and the situation from their own country, but also the high above have access to this data. So now, but also we do like training and suggestion on what to do in order to make sure the challenges are also solved. And also apart from that, we also, the local leaders, we train them on how to use these kind of data and also how to provide the evidence to the higher authority requesting from some funds, especially when it comes to drainage cleaning or drainage construction into their community. And also we provide training to university students as well, who can understand on how this data could be used beyond, maybe they might use them in research as well, or also understand how the city is going when it comes to disaster response. But also sometimes we train them and we engage them in data collection, especially when they're in the semester fields activities. We also engage with them in this kind of activities. So one of the examples of the impact that because of data that was created by community and impact was created is local leaders started taking actions of organizing community cleanup events in order to make sure some of the blocked drains are cleaned, but also asks for some funds from the government in order to maintain or reconstruct those blocked drains or some areas that need service. So we had evidence from these local leaders saying that they have been using the data to do so, and also like they shared some pictures of their communities organizing cleanup in order to help or prevent the flooding issue into their community. And also the local leaders sometimes tend to change. So maps and data remains to their local offices. For the new leaders, once comes in, they can use that to visualize of what has happened to their community and take it from there. But also for the investors going into the local community, they can use those maps to see the flood-prone locations or advise them on where to invest and where not to invest within the community. Also, like, we have learned some few lessons, like community should be included in this kind of activities. Their voices usually, because it creates, for the data that we have been collecting, the ownership that we have been seeing from the community, it's quite huge, and also they are willing to learn, and also always sometimes even ask that our maps is outdated, can you come and update our maps? So we have seen those kind of helps, those kind of calls, and that's what gives us, like, we always have to ensure that community are involved, because it creates the sense of ownership, it creates the living on of the project, because we operate under projects. Once the project ends, we usually don't have funds. So we usually create some grounds that community can continue use data or generate from where we stops. Yeah, so some key takeaways. Okay, like community, we could engage all those different type of groups, because all they have different perspectives when it comes to data and everything, and also like maps could be used to advocate for the preparedness. And it's something that we are proud of to introduce in our country, and we hope it will take more action in the future. And we are able to get a new project. It's a 2-year project that we're going to take more action into this mapping activity into the country. So, yeah, and these are some of the call for actions. I mean, and stare. If someone has a question, I'll take it now. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does anybody have a question? Because I do. But I feel I should ask. Yes, go for it.
I have a question from HOT, the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. And part of our technology team is here, and I wonder, you use open source tools. For you, what is in the whole ecosystem of tools that you need? What's the biggest bottleneck? Like, where is the biggest bottleneck in terms of technology for your needs? To project
Where is that?
The biggest bottleneck?
What gets in the way of progress for you? What do you need
Yes.
access to?
Which technology do you...
Or do you have a suite of tools that you think are working and adequate?
No. So as organization, we're always open to learn.
Yep.
And always, once we need something, we always reach out to our partners, such as HOT. If we need help, they always provide us with capacity building. If there's something that we need and we don't have capacity, we usually do that. And also, us attending to events like this gives us an opportunity to learn new tools and get in touch. So we are always like eager. Before, we were not using even drones, but right now we even use drones to capture images, action images. So we are always like bringing in technology, whether it's open or not open, but we usually do that. So we are not close to what we have. Yeah.
Can I ask you to go back to a figure? The one that was the green and the red areas in...
Sure.
So I lived in Nigeria for a while, in Lagos.
Yes.
And you talked about formal and informal area living.
Yes.
Is that shanty towns? Is that what we're looking at in these areas that are getting inundated? Are they not mud or brick buildings? Are they just houses that have been put up in an area that hasn't been developed formally?
So the area are developed, but the way the houses are arranged, that's the problem.
Yes.
That's the issue is. Because some houses are constructed over the drain system.
Yep.
Some houses are constructed, there's no even if there's an emergency, a car cannot pass through. Even if there's a fire outbreak, the car cannot pass through.
Proper town planning was not done.
Yes.
They were not built according to a specification which worked.
Yes.
But now you're trying to identify the areas that will be affected when there's flooding and get those people out.
Not specific out, because that's a government side to do.
But you're giving the information to the authorities to deal with it.
Yes,
Okay.
to deal with them. Because as I said, now there's innovation that is going to be done around Msimbazi Valley, this one.
Yep.
So some community are being reallocated to other locations.
Higher locations.
Yes, compensated, and they're going to be reallocated. But also now they have initiated a law that if you're going to build along the valley, you are no longer going to be considered that for compensation when that anything happens to you later on. So information, that's what we provide in order for them to have like evidence of what. Because some of them were denied for compensation, but the data shows they were there before. Like, and also like the World Bank raised the question of those who should not be compensated, but they were given electricity and water. So how you're saying that there are residents illegally in that location, and you provide them with electricity
Services.
and water?
Yeah.
Yeah, so something like that.
Okay, please join me in thanking Asha for her presentation.
Thank you.